the necessity of understanding the philosophy of community development. Why I chose this topic, I just want to talk about this topic. Why is it that I chose to present on this topic of the necessity of understanding the philosophy of community development? For a long period of time, people in Malawi, as well as in other countries, most especially in the least developing countries, always talk about community development. And when you look at the concept of community development, there is something that has been always missing in the understanding of the term community development. And what has been missing in the understanding of community development is the aspect of the philosophy behind the community development. Community development has been, under social work, is taken as an approach to social work. But as an approach to social work, so if as an approach to social work, before looking at it as an approach, we also need to understand it. We also need to understand the philosophy behind community development, because it is an approach. But yes, before looking at it as an approach, what is it that compels it to be community development? So that's what I wanted to discuss here. Is it really necessary to understand the philosophy of community development? Right, so that's what we're going to be discussing. So in general, I've presented, I have with me here a presentation of which I'm trying to share with you, but I'm failing. I was trying to share with you the presentation, but it's not coming forth. Present it the way it is. I'll be able to show you some of the things which I'm talking about. Okay. It's in my laptop. I'm trying to that's the presentation that I have, but I'm trying to share with you. It's failing to upload. So the first thing is that we're going to look at, if you'll be able to check we're looking at the definition of community development, and philosophy. So we want to concentrate on these definitions. What are these? How do we understand these terms? So the first term is the term of community development, the term community. We'd like to look at the term community. How do we understand the term community? So in the first place, we say that the community refers to people who live within a geographically defined area and have social as well as psychological ties with each other and with the place where they live. So first we need to understand the term community. So these are the people who live within a geographically defined area and who have social as well as psychological ties with each other and with the place where they live. So in this understanding of the term community, we see that there are some elements that depict the term community. One, from the definition itself, you can be able to see that a community cannot be a community without people. Okay, so a community cannot be a community without people. And here we're also talking about the geographical area. So people on their own cannot just be called a community, but there's a need of an understanding of the geographical area. And within this geographical area, these people cannot just be people within the geographical area, no. But there's a need of understanding that there are social as well as psychological ties. So yes, we can have people living in a geographical area, but what is beyond those people living in a geographical area? What we are saying here, hello, are you able to get me? Am I audible that side? Hello, am I audible? Hello, am I audible? Hello? Hello?
Yes. Hello?
Am I audible?
Yes. But your video, it's not.
Oh, my video is off. What about now?
Yeah, already.
I'm on, right?
Yes.
Yeah, good. So I was saying that a community cannot just be a community where there are only people and the geographical area. No. We have a community because there are social and psychological ties between the people as well as the community, the people as well as the geographical area. So a community is carrying a lot of elements. First, there are people. There's a geographical area. Then there are those social and psychological ties with each other. So there's a psychological tie between people as well as psychological ties between people and the place where they live. So here we are looking at a community as comprising people, as comprising the geographical area, as comprising social ties, as well as psychological ties. Hello?
Yeah, please go ahead, Chef. We always hear you.
Hello?
Yes, please continue.
Hello. So we are continuing to say that there are those 4 things which are supposed to be looked at the term of community. Then we also look at the term called development. The term development is understood as an intrinsic process of growth and improvement. So the term development is an intrinsic process of growth and improvement. Why are we saying that it's an intrinsic process? Development starts from within. Okay. Development starts from within. So development starts from within. That's what we're saying, that it is an intrinsic process of growth. So because it is an intrinsic process, it means hello.
Yes, we always hear you, sir. Then
Yeah, so sorry. So we're saying that development is an intrinsic process of growth and improvement. It's an intrinsic process of growth and improvement because we're looking at it from that it starts from within. Development starts from within. It's a process of growth, but from within. And after there's growth, then an improvement comes when there's something already there, something from within. So here we're going to be looking at community development. It means community development is a continuous process. If we're saying that community development is a continuous process, we're actually saying that it has a base. It has a base, which are the people, the geographical area, the social, the psychological ties which are there within the people as well as the place where they live. That's the base. And it has to start from there, intrinsically. So it's a continuous process aimed at improving the quality of life. Aimed at improving the quality of life. So the improvement of the people, the geographical area, the social and the psychological ties is aimed at bringing in good quality of life of the people. So the improvement is there to bring about the quality of life of the community itself. So the quality of life here is about the people, the geographical area, most especially about the social as well as the psychological ties between them. Then we also have another term which is called philosophy. Now, philosophy, etymologically, it emanates from a Greek term, philosophia, which is composed of affix, philo, which signifies wisdom, and sophia, which signifies love or knowledge. As a result, the term philosophy so now we're talking about philosophy. So as a result, philosophy can be perceived as an intrinsic quest for knowledge. So it is an intrinsic quest for knowledge. It's an intrinsic quest for knowledge. Now, why should we say that the philosophy of community development? So how do we talk about philosophy of community development? So we'd like to talk about philosophy of community development. Why should we say philosophy of community development?
Hello.
Hello. Yes. Yes, I think we can use that one. Yes, those are the notes that have been shared. So thank you very much, Dr. Room. Thank you very much for assisting with the notes that have been shared. Now we want to look at the second slide. Wanted to discuss more on the why have we said that, why do we talk about why do we talk about philosophy of community development, and how to understand the term philosophy of community development? So first, we wanted to look at those terms. We wanted to look first at those terms in detail, So that once we are presenting, we should also understand where we're coming from. So we have looked at the term community, we have looked at the term development and community development and the term philosophy. Now, let's go to the second slide. The second slide, which is going to tell us more about the philosophy of community development. Those are just brief, but I'm going to explain them in detail. I've just put points there, which I'm going to explain them in detail. So we have said that the philosophy of community development, and we have defined what community development is, as a continuous process. So where is it coming from? Where this process starting? So we see that the philosophy of community development, we're actually looking at the knowledge of ultimate causes of community development. We're looking at the knowledge of ultimate causes of community development. Now, the ultimate cause of community development here is referring to the driving factors that bring about community development. Okay. Since philosophy is the quest for knowledge, we want to search for the knowledge that drives community development. Because being a continuous process to improve the quality of life for the people, we also need to know where is it coming from. What has prompted some people to think of improving the lives of the community? So, in this discussion, we are going to look at 4 causes of community development. 4 causes of community development. Now, being a continuous process, community development has the ultimate cause, has the efficient ultimate cause. Has efficient ultimate cause. So community development as a process, a continuous process, has efficient ultimate cause. So by efficient ultimate cause of community development, what are we referring to and what do we mean by that? We're looking at the factors producing things. So in a community where people live, in a community where people live, the geographical setting has resources. The geographical setting has resources that would compel people to do something about it. I'll give an example of here in Malawi. We have our beautiful lake, Malawi. We have good soil for maize production or crop production. And we have perennial rivers that run through most part of our countries. Now, we look at all those. We have the lake, we have water that can provide that, we have water throughout the year from the lake. We have perennial rivers that run through different parts of the country, and we have good soil. Apart from that, we have a lot of vegetation that is available before us that can be turned into manure. So the fertility of the land can easily be enhanced by the presence of the vegetation around us. In addition to that, we have, even ourselves as human beings, we do produce urine, which contains a lot of elements of urea, which can also be used as a resource to compel us to do something. Okay. So when we look at the factors that produce things, we're looking at those resources that we have. So the cause of community development can be on that one, the efficient cause, looking at the factors that are present. Okay. So many people are failing to understand community. When people look at community development, they look at it as an external thing. They are looking at it as an external thing. We're not trying to look at it as an external thing. It's from within us. It's an intrinsic process. So since there's a development there, it's an intrinsic process of growth and improvement. So being an intrinsic, it means we need to realize the resources that we have from an efficient point of view. Apart from all these natural resources, we as human beings also we are the resource, because we know our environment better. People who live within the communities are able to depict the weather using what we call indigenous knowledge. Based on the indigenous knowledge that we have about our own environment, we are able to depict that during this time, with these times of, with what is happening within our community, the rains might not come. The indigenous people have their own knowledge. In fact, we call it indigenous knowledge system, which provides us a lot of information about our own environment, from which we can build ourselves, from which we can develop. So the realization of this knowledge is what we call the efficient cause of community development. It is when we realize that we have this efficient cause by looking at the resources around us, is when we'll be able to say, now we can develop intrinsically. But if we don't look at the efficient cause of community development, we'll be looking at, will not be appreciating the resources that we have and even the capacities which are within us. And always we'll be looked at ourselves as if we are failures and we need someone else to come and help us. So with that, the philosophy of community development denies that. The philosophy of community development denies that. No, first, we need to look at the efficient cause of community development. That is the first necessity which we need to look at when we are looking at community development. Now, the second philosophy of community development is we are looking at the ultimate cause, what the finality cause of community development. So what is that compels, again, the community? What brings about community development is the finality cause. The finality cause. On finality cause, we're looking at the aim of the thing. If we're coming up with community development, the issue is, why are we coming up with the community development processes to improve the life of life? The issue here is about, the finality is about to improve the life of the community. To improve the life of the community. That's the aim of community development. To improve the lives of the community members. Now, improvement comes second. You don't improve something that is not there. So first thing is we need to realize that when we think about the finality cause of community development, we're actually looking at the aim. And for us here, the aim is to improve the life of the community. Now, what is the initial status of the community which you need to improve? So this will draw us to self-examination of who we are and where we are as a community. What have we done so far as a community? Not what the people have done for us, but what we have done for ourselves. Okay. What we have done for ourselves. Because there's a difference in this understanding of community development and the rural development. In most cases, when we want other people from different places to come and improve our lives, it means we are dormant and we are recipients. With that, we will not be able to realize what we have done ourselves. It's people outside who see problems in us instead of us seeing our own problems. So that brings a problem in itself. So if you want to talk about the finality cause, it means we need to realize that we need to improve our lives from what we have done. So community involvement then will be taken as an approach to improve our lives. But first, after realizing that we have done something on our own and we are lacking. And what we are lacking is capacitation. Not that we are lacking resources, not that we are lacking something, no. What we are lacking are just skills which can help us move from where we are to the next level. But what I've seen most in Malawi is that when we talk about community development, people are neglecting their culture, people are neglecting their values, and they're embracing the values of other people. Now, that is not development. That is not community development. Bringing something new within the community and replacing something which was there, that is not development. That is the replacement. And you actually are not developing. If I want to grow old myself, if I want to grow tall, I don't need to cut. If I'm short, I don't need to cut my leg and take the leg of someone who's tall and put it on my leg to say that I'm growing. No. Okay. So the aim is to improve, and you don't improve by repressing. You don't improve by repressing, but first by realizing who you are, what you have, and what you have done. The shortfalls are the ones which will call for capacitation to bring more knowledge and skills on what you already have. Okay. I'll give an example here in Malawi about trees. Each and every year we plant trees. Each and every year we plant trees. But the sustenance of those trees is always a problem. Why? Because those trees are exotic. They don't fit well into the environment. And yet, from our own communities, we have natural trees that are multifunctional. We draw out fruits from them. We draw out medicine from them. They're also good for biodiversity. They host different animals, birds, ants, and whatever. They are there maintaining the ecosystem. Whereas the exotic trees, once we bring them in, they struggle to fit into the tropicals because they are not well acquainted with the soil within the tropicals. And for them to survive within the tropicals is always a problem. And the survival rate of these trees is always low, below 50. Now, why? Because the first thing that we don't understand that the trees we have are more valuable. Because we can draw out medicine out of them, we can draw out fruits out of them, we can draw out building materials out of these trees. So first we need to understand the multifunctional nature of our trees, and we need to regenerate them other than planting new ones. Because once you regenerate the natural trees, you are able to maintain the biodiversity. You are maintaining, even the ecosystem is being maintained. You as a human being have also given yourself a chance of having more benefits from those trees than just one benefit of timber or something of that nature. So the finality cause of community development looks at what you have done, what you have, and how best you can develop out of that so that you improve the quality of life of the people. That's the second cause of community development. This is what source of community development tries to bring us back to. Then, There is the third cause of community development, which is material. This, we are looking at the elements of things in common with other things. Now, in community development, being a community, we are able to appreciate things which others are doing that we are not doing, but they are helpful. Now, this we are looking at it from a material point of view. First, we are looking at things which are common with other things, or some elements within the community that are common with the other elements, but from a material point of view. I'll give an example here based on our African culture. When we're looking at the material things, we're looking at the mode of dressing, maybe the dress that we have. From an African culture, we're able to see that the dressing as an African is very specific, most especially when you're talking about women. The African dressing code is that most people use, we make clothes by having what we call the national wears. We do develop our industries by coming up with specific designs that are purely African, not American, not Eastern. Now, things which we're able to cross-check that they are familiar with other people, is that even the dressing of women are supposed to have a cloth over their head. Not covering their face, but only just the head itself. Okay. That is typical of being an African. And you see that this happens across Africa. Mostly when there are big functions that are African nature, that depict African culture, where there are functions, most events such as funerals, you see women of different cultures putting on that. Not because they are waste of that, but it reflects the African culture. So these material elements, which we share with others, should read us to say, no, something is common in our culture that is not something common within our culture is being shared also with other cultures. So that should develop, that should read us now, say, okay, this which is common with others can help us if we advance it. Yes, it may not be in the same, it may not be of the same quality, but we're able to develop it. From the material point of view, on the very same type of dressing, I've seen that in African culture, most especially on the traditional dances, we're able to see that in Nigeria, there are cultures which depict of what we call Gulewan, in Malawi we call it Gulewan. Okay, it's a culture among the Chewas where they put on the design of the traditional dances is similar between the Nigerian traditional dances and even the Malawian traditional dances, where they even put a mask. They put a mask and all over they have tone crosses all over. They have the design of the cloth itself is made up of tone crosses and the rest up to the shoes. Okay, and even that the design itself is similar to what we call Gulewan in Malawi. And so, but how? People in Nigeria are doing the same, and us here in Africa, in Malawi, we're also doing the same. When you talk about our friends in Tanzania, Kenya, and the rest, the type of dressing that they have there, it's also similar to what we have here in Malawi. So this can compare us that there's something common that depicts African culture. And that something common can be the cause to improve the life of the people, to reflect that this depicts the African culture. So the understanding, which is very important, is that we need to be able to see what materials that are common in our culture with other cultures, on which we can build a common ground to improve the life of the people. That brings about creativity. The moment we don't realize the common elements between cultures, of which we can build together and help one another to build more skills in it, the moment we don't realize that, we will not develop. So this is what we're talking about, the material cause of community development. We're looking at the similarities of different elements that we have in culture that can help us move forward. In Malawi, here, we have different cultures. We have the Tumbuka cultures, we have the Nkombe cultures, Chewa cultures, Tonga, Yao, Longways, and the rest. As Africans, we need to sit down and see what common elements are there within our culture that can help us come up with something that can pull people to develop their culture. Many people are not patriotic to their own culture, to see the common elements and see how best we can use it. I'm more proud of the Gulewankuru, a traditional dance of the Chewas, where they're more artistic on how to come up with their traditional dance. They come up, they design a lot of things which they use for their traditional dances. That artistic mind is very important for community development, and that's where we need to dwell much. There's a lot of art involved in this. Even in different cultures, there are a lot of art. Different traditional dances depict different styles and rights. If we can focus on that creativity, it can help us to develop. And that's what philosophy of community development tries to push us to, the ultimate causes of development, of community development. Lastly, we are focusing on formal cause of community development. The formal cause on community development. This now is about the elements of things that distinguish it from others. Much as we might be similar in the design of our cultural elements, but there's something very specific of us. I've talked of different cultures here in Malawi, but even in all over in the eastern region, there are different cultures within the eastern region. Now, not all cultures are the same. Not all communities are the same. Now, we need to realize what is it that is different from other communities and very specific of us. Now, that is what is referred to as the formal cause of community development. We need to realize we are not Zambians, we are Malawians. What makes us different from our friends in Zambia? What makes us to be different from our friends in Tanzania? What makes us different from our friends in Mozambique? What makes us different from our friends in Kenya, Sudan, Egypt, and that? What makes us different? Even within different regions in the nation, what makes us different from others? So that difference with others will help us to prioritize the diversity in community development. Because the diversity in community development helps to share with others what they don't know so that they should learn from it. So philosophy of community development pushes us back to go and reflect over these four causes. Because the community is made up of people, the area where they are, the social and the psychological ties within them and also with the environment. And with the understanding that development is an intrinsic process. It's not supposed to come from outside, but it's supposed to come from us, the people. So we should not wait for someone to come and develop for us while we are here. What we need to realize is, what is the philosophy behind community development? Reaching this far, I thank you for your attention. I call for questions and clarifications on what I've presented so far. Thank you very much. Any question?
Yeah, thank you for our participant. If you have any questions from the speaker, please add them to the chat or you can raise your hand. We will wait one until 2 minutes short. Because someone will be queue.
I think you're not being audible enough. So maybe for me to pick up the questions very well, I think I would propose that you write them on the chat so that once I see the question, I respond accordingly. Yeah, so I'm saying that for me to respond to the questions, if they can be presented through the chat and pick them, I'll be able to respond to those questions. Hello?
Yeah, we have no question already right in the room chat. Sure.
Yes, I've seen that there's a question there which I need to respond to. Okay, thank you very much, Abdul. You are asking that how does the understanding of philosophy of community development enhance our ability to create sustainable and impactful community programs? And saying, can you provide examples where philosophical principles directly influence successful community initiatives? Okay, fine. In this one, you are talking about sustainability and impactful community programs. The sustainability of, are you able to hear me? We're looking at the sustainability. The question about sustainability, how does the understanding the source of community development bring about sustainability, sustainable and impactful community development programs? The element of sustainability with the understanding of source of community development comes in with the aspect that it is the people themselves that are able to think about first the efficient cause, the things which they themselves think that they can use. So the sustainability comes in because people themselves are involved in coming up with the understanding of the efficient causes of community development. The efficient causes of community development here are about the realization of the resources that they have and how best they can be used to improve their own life. Apart from the realization of their own, they're also looking at the aim. The aim is to improve their life. And improvement of life is not short-lived. Improvement of life is not short-lived. So when they're looking at the aim of improving their life on one side, they're also looking at the efficient cause here about the available resources. The available resources and the aim is going to make these people think about how best sustainable should our programs of development be. Okay. So the community involvement in coming up with programs is what will make these programs sustainable. Hello?
Yeah, thank you. And we have two questions again from students.
Okay, the next question. Okay, from the chat, the next question is saying that in what ways does the philosophy of community development inform our approach to addressing social inequalities within communities? And what are some key philosophical concepts that practitioners should provide in their work? Okay, now, with this question, thanks, Corina. You are saying that in what ways does philosophy of community development inform our approach to addressing social inequalities? Now, social inequalities come because we don't realize the power which each and every individual has, or the capacity which each and every individual has to contribute to the well-being of the community. Now, because any failure to understand the capacity which an individual has to contribute to the well-being of the community, that failure will bring about social inequality. Because if there is lack of knowledge and lack of skills on how to understand your capacity and what you can contribute to the community, that alone will bring about failure to understand the resources which you have. Thereby, it will bring about that social inequality. Now, the philosophy of community development helps everyone to understand first that he or she is able to have a comprehensive understanding of the efficient cause of things. So if every person has this understanding of the efficient cause, has the understanding of the finality cause, the material and the formal cause, their capacity will be similar. Hence, social inequalities will be reduced because all of them will be able to understand the things within their own capacity. Okay, so with this, social inequalities will be reduced. Okay. Now you're looking at the philosophical concepts that practitioners should prioritize in their work. There are two. One, we're looking at within philosophy, there are two major philosophical concepts: the deductive as well as the inductive approaches, or what we call the realism as well as the idealism. For practitioners, they need to realize that to bring about community development, you need to be a realist. Okay, you need to be a realist. You should be someone who is grounded. Okay, but for someone who is a realist to work well, he needs to develop concepts with the interaction with the community. And there you need aspects of idealists. Idealists that you bring about concepts which you're going to use in your reality. That's why I've said that there are two major concepts which are very important that a practitioner should take into consideration when they're talking about the work aspect. That's the realism and idealism. In other terms, they're called the deductive reasoning, or what we call inductive reasoning. Then the other question here is that could you elaborate, Kenan, Could you elaborate on how the principle of philosophy of community development guide our decision-making processes in community projects? Okay, you're talking, the main question here is about, the decision-making process. Philosophy, the principles of community development. One, in decision-making, these principles of community development, they are going to help you to be a critical thinker. So in decision-making processes, the philosophy of community development is going to help you to be first a critical thinker. You don't just think about development, you don't just take on the development process without thinking about the causes of community development. So one of the major role which philosophy of community development brings in decision-making process is about being a critical thinker. It helps you to go back and think more about the process of community development. So critical thinking is one of the major principle that philosophy of community development brings, and it will guide the decision-making process in community projects. And you're saying that what are potential pitfalls that might arise if philosophical foundations are overlooked? The pitfalls that are there, one of which is dependency. You'll be depending on what others have done instead of what you yourself should be able to do. So philosophy of community development brings in the aspect of independent thinking in bringing about development. So if you don't bring about the philosophy of community development, then you'll be dependent on the ideas or the ideology of others which are going to use in your development processes. I hope I've been able to answer the questions of Paulina, Kinan, and Abdul.
Thank you for answering. I think it's very clear answer to Professor Kalab. Okay, before I close the session, all participants, please open your camera. I will take a picture, look on the play. Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Hello.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your great cooperation. Finally, we come to the end of physical lecture today. We would like to thank you for Mr. David Ngwira for the wonderful information and sharing your knowledge. We hope this information will be beneficial to all participants. At least we hope for collaboration in the future with the University Malawi. The visiting lecture for today and here we have to say so thank you and have a stay. Thank you for the feed.
Thank you very much.